This is the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, which stands for Plug-in Hybrid Electric Vehicle. And as the name suggests, you can plug this car into the mains to charge its batteries, and that means that it can go a lot further on electric power alone than a normal hybrid, which you just charge when you're braking driving along. As a result, this thing can do 148 miles per gallon. Now, traditionally, the problem with plug-in hybrids is that you have to pay a premium for their technology, so it takes you ages to recoup that cost in their lower fuel bills. But not so with this car, because it costs exactly the same as the normal diesel Outlander.
That's because it qualifies for a £5,000 government grant for greener cars. Yet despite its eco-credentials, the Outlander PHEV is designed to be as easy to live with as a traditional SUV.
Normally with plug-in hybrids, their practicality is compromised because their electrical gubbins eat into interior space, but not so with this car, because the batteries, they're located underneath the floor, and even though there's an electric motor under this boot, you've still got a little hidey hole there where you can store your charging cables. I haven't arranged them very neatly, I'm afraid. And overall, this boot is pretty much the same size as on the normal diesel Outlander. Actually, it's slightly smaller. It's 14 litres smaller, which is just 14 of these, and you're not going to notice that.
You will notice the impressive in-car storage though, which is exactly the same as the diesel model. And there's also the same impressive level of standard equipment across the range.
It's the same story here in the back seats as well. I've got absolutely loads of room. Knee room, that's very good. So too is headroom. If I want, I can recline my seat to get a little bit more comfortable. And because the floor in the back here, it's almost flat, if you get the middle seat, there is somewhere to put your feet. If you need to carry large items, not people, such as flat packed furniture, you can flip out the seat bases, fold the seats back down, you get an almost flat low bay there, so you can slide items in nice and easily. If your cargo is more precious, say it's your family, then you needn't worry, because this car gets a full Euro NCAP 5-star safety rating, and you can get it with extra safety equipment such as a lane departure warning system.
The Outlander PHEV has two electric motors. There's the one at the back, which I've already mentioned, and another under the bonnet next to the 2-litre petrol engine that's there to charge the batteries if they run low, or to provide added drive if you need it. And this gives the PHEV its own unique character.
One of the problems with the diesel Outlander is that its engine is just a little bit noisy, but this one, running in electric mode, it's pretty much silent. In fact, it can go up to 70 miles an hour on electric mode alone, and because of that, Mitsubishi has had to fit this thing with extra insulation, because when you haven't got the noise of an engine kind of drowning out other sounds, your ears pick up on the other noises, the wind noise and the tyre noise. But thankfully, because of that extra insulation, it's actually very quiet in here all the time. Another thing that's noticeably different than driving the normal diesel version of the Outlander is just how much the car slows when you lift off the accelerator. And the reason for that is that the electric motor then works as a dynamo to charge the batteries. And you can actually alter the severity of that braking effect using these paddles here. So they're not for changing gears. So if I have it in its lightest setting, it's very similar to a normal car. It's not too severe, the braking, but if I knock it into its highest setting, I can pretty much drive this thing around just using the accelerator pedal. I don't have to touch the brakes. The only reason I'd have to touch the brakes is to make an emergency maneuver or to bring the car to a complete stop.
The Outlander PHEV can run on electric power alone for up to 32.5 miles. At the press of a button, you can put it in 4-wheel drive lock mode for added traction, perfect for towing or for going off-road, which you can do under electric power alone.
Off-roading without the normal chugging sound of an engine, it's just a little bit weird, but in a good way.
As well as being the only pure electric off-roader, the Outlander PHEV is the only off-roader that's free from road tax and won't cost you anything to drive into London's congestion charge zone. You can thank carbon dioxide emissions of just 44 grams per kilometre for that.
Yet despite its efficiency, the Outlander PHEV doesn't feel deathly slow. You can do 0 to 60 in 11 seconds, which isn't that quick, but because you've got the instant response of the electric motor, when you put your foot down, it takes off okay.
You can fully charge the PHEV in 5 hours from a 13 amp socket for as little as £1 depending on your tariff. If you have access to one, you can also charge the PHEV's batteries to 80% full in just 30 minutes using a fast charger.
You could just run it on petrol power alone if you wanted to, but that would absolutely ruin the economy and be way less efficient than just having the diesel model. And you've got to remember that this is a heavy car to move around, so it uses quite a bit of fuel. And that's because with all the electrical equipment on board, it weighs 200 kilograms more than the normal Outlander. And yeah, all that weight is actually situated low down in the car, so the centre of gravity is low, which means it doesn't roll about or feel ungainly. But still, in terms of handling, it doesn't feel as sharp to drive as a Nissan X-Trail, and it's not as comfy over bumps in the road as one either.
The Nissan's infotainment system is much better to use as well, while the interior of the Outlander PHEV just doesn't feel as special as the technology it has on board. It certainly doesn't feel as futuristic inside as a BMW i3.
Finally, there's the fact that you can't get a 7-seater version of the Outlander PHEV, so that kind of rules it out for you if you have a big family. However, you can get a 7-seater version of the diesel Outlander, and you can watch our review of that by clicking up here. If you want an EV but you don't need lots of space and you'd like it to be really futuristic, then you should check out our review of the BMW i3 by clicking down here. If you click down here, you can see our very latest review, and if you click up there on our logo, you can subscribe to our channel.